Human beings have a spectrum of thoughts and feelings going on internally constantly. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we're inundated with thoughts about what we need to do and how and when and will he ever call. And as we move through our day, we experience all sorts of emotions. Anger at the guy who cut us off, delight at the smile of a child, shame when we look in a mirror. This vivid inner life simply isn't visible on the outside. And in our society, where success, not enlightenment, is the ultimate goal, we've gotten pretty good at hiding anything that gives the impression of imperfection. Maybe out of a wish for privacy or an insecurity that what's going on with us won't matter to other people. Or maybe we're ashamed or embarrassed to tell the truth. So we interact with others without respect for authenticity. Instead, we choose to give off the impression that everything's great, we've got it all together. And sometimes everything is great. We're pretty good at sharing our joys and triumphs. But what about the tough stuff? Abuse, addiction, disease, divorce? We're all susceptible. And many of us have to go through many different types of strife in this life. By not being forthcoming about the truth of our life experience, we underestimate others' ability to empathize, and we rob ourselves of the opportunity to be comforted. Do you know the feeling of confessing a truth to someone and having them say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I know someone who's been through the same thing. It was awful, but they're doing much better now." It's like having the weight of the world pulled off your shoulders. Opening up to someone expands your point of view. It's the most wonderful reminder that you are not alone, that you are understood, and that you are a member of the human family. As a teen, like many of you, I imagine, I desperately wanted to fit in. But with my fair skin and red hair, I just wasn't going to blend in with the cool tan blondes of my Tony Dallas youth. I was sensitive, academically and artistically inclined, not adept on playing fields. I wasn't like them, and that made me think that there was something wrong with me. Thus sprouted a deep-seated belief that I was different in a bad way and that no one could understand me. So no matter that I had friends and family who loved me, I still felt completely alone. Back then, I wasn't mature enough to verbalize my feelings. When I felt a thought or feeling rise up inside me, I shoved it down as far as I could until I was filled with an unaddressed and unsettling ball of emotions. I walked around so insecure, I was vulnerable to the slightest criticism. At a certain point, and perhaps unknowingly, I decided to take control and criticize myself. I looked at the girls that I wanted to be like, and from what I observed, in order to be cool, you had to be tan, blonde, and skinny. So I took the one of those things that I thought I could control and got busy getting skinnier and skinnier until I had developed a raging eating disorder. There was so very much going on inside the mind and heart of that suffering girl. It wasn't until that I was able to talk about it that I understood what was motivating my self-destructive actions. I went to group therapy sessions with other teens that were acting out their angst. I could see that while we all handled our struggles in different ways, addiction, pulling out hair, burning things, we all just wanted to feel deserving of love and acceptance. We just wanted to fit in. It wasn't until I felt that I was actually no different from these other kids that I was able to enact true change and heal my relationship with food and my body image. It was around this time that I dove into acting as a way to channel the feelings constantly coursing through my body. I played dozens of different roles in high school and college and more throughout my 20s. I stepped inside each character and the world of each play, asking how I, Nicole, would fit in if I was in this situation. Playing characters was a way for me to deepen my understanding of my own identity. And even as I played these characters, I felt compelled to write about my experience playing them, taking the degree of self-analysis one step further. Like in the blog posts I wrote in the days following 9/11 when I was on tour playing Cinderella in the Northeast. I wrote to reconcile my feelings in my first acting job out of Northwestern with the devastating results of a terrorist attack. I wrote to make sense of my life. My career eventually took me to Los Angeles and through the Hollywood machine. A few years in, I was spit out by my agent. Rather than jumping back in, I wrote some more. I tried to understand how my passion for acting that had dominated my decision-making for almost 10 years could fit into my future life. I wondered how I would be able to keep doing this. I mean, I hadn't felt successful as an actress. I hadn't felt special or intelligent or unique. I felt discouraged and less than, and that was no longer okay. So I established that the primary two qualities of my new life would be joy and fulfillment. I just wasn't sure exactly how that would be manifested. Then I met Karin Gutman, producer of Spark, True Life Storytelling Series in Santa Monica. She was a fellow Northwestern alum, a writer, and she encouraged me to check out her show. She praised the value of creating a healing narrative out of your life experiences. I went, and I loved getting to know strangers in this very intimate way. I could see a connection between my love for performing and my underexplored passion for writing about my life. So I wrote my first story about how the sickness and death of my grandmother had been my most impactful lesson in faith. The experience of performing that story was both joyful and fulfilling. The sting of not making it as an actress lessened as I started to realize that my life and my talents were suited for something else. I began taking personal nonfiction writing classes and performing at other storytelling events in LA. I loved being on stage, but rather than hiding behind a character, I was getting to know myself better. I started to get addicted. When it became clear that I wasn't going to continue acting in Hollywood, I decided to move back here to Dallas. I felt compelled to make a difference in my hometown. I wanted to speak to young people and somehow prevent them from getting as lost and disheartened as I had. I wanted to give everyone I could the chance to tell their story and heal as I did. So I decided to start my own unique brand of storytelling show in Dallas. With key help along the way, I created Oral Fixation and Obsession with True Life Tales as a manifestation of all my life experience and passion. I went from being constantly rejected for opportunities to express myself through acting to producing a series where I get to give 7 people a month the chance to step outside their daily lives and express themselves. To get a better idea of what oral fixation is all about, think of all of your life experiences as raw material. In the kind of storytelling that I do, which is always true and personal, we work with a theme. Let's say the theme is silver lining. Think about your life and what might connect to having gone through a tough time and have something special come out of it. That automatically filters out lots of moments and brings others to the forefront. Add in that we're typically working with memory, and you start off with a story with this taffy-like consistency that you must push and pull and twist to flesh out the memory, recalling sensory details and even dialogue. For me, the silver lining of failing at my acting career was finding my true life's calling. So that is what I would write about for a silver lining story. My transformation from needy and insecure aspiring actress to confident and fulfilled arts entrepreneur. I'm not suggesting that all of you go out and participate in oral fixation or a similar show, but I am asking you to be courageous. And next time you hit a rough spot, tell someone. Express yourself. Get your tangled thoughts and overpowering feelings out of your body and allow yourself to receive grace from others. Be more transparent about your life. Your bravery could really help someone feel less alone. And be there for people in your life when they're struggling. Because life is tough. Some days you're up and some days you're down. But it's all the more meaningful if we go through it together.